well. Played it very, very, very well indeed.
No more slices for you.
Oh, look at that for judgment.
You'll learn.
Right, hello everybody. It is Monday, the 11th of August, and I say that with some hesitation because we are pre-recording here because I've selfishly taken a holiday. Unselfishly, Rasmus Neergaard-Petersen has joined the podcast, which is fantastic. Rasmus, thank you for this. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Now, we are a little bit in advance of the week itself, but you are going to be preparing to play at home, so we're going to talk about that and a few other things. But first of all, rookie season on the DP World Tour feels like a lot's happened. You've been second on both tours actually, but it must have been a bit of a whirlwind. How would you sum it up so far?
No, it's been great. I've been professional for a little over 2 years now. It's certainly gone fast. When I turned pro in the June of 2023, I certainly thought that throughout my career I would be able to kind of get to the top levels and compete at the very top of the biggest events, but certainly it's gone a lot faster than I think either me or anyone can anticipate it. But it's been super exciting. Obviously played a lot all over the world, traveled a bunch both to Asia and to the States. It's been quite hectic, but obviously I've really enjoyed it and played some good golf, and then I hope that the last 3 weeks here I've had at home, kind of have some downtime, is going to help me have a strong back part of the season. So super excited for things to come.
Obviously, the two runner-up finishes in Doha and Puerto Rico. I mean, aside from the fact they're both windy, I wondered whether that was sort of part of the reason you might have played well in both. But did they feel similar? Like, I know you were sort of coming from behind in both, but in terms of the scale of the events as well, obviously one being on the PGA Tour, was there any difference in how you felt then?
I think both events I felt quite similar. Obviously, it was an opposite field event on the PGA Tour, so it felt kind of like size-wise, it felt kind of similar to some of the stuff we had on the European Tour. But both events were kind of windy, as you said. But I think like throughout the events, I certainly like tougher conditions. I generally tend to play my best whenever it gets tough and you really have to strike the ball and kind of stay patient. So for me it was just two great experiences, and obviously also playing the US Open at Oakmont was a highlight of the season so far. I still remember watching the US Open there last time I was there before this time. So it's nice to play in the events that I kind of grew up watching. That's kind of that's what motivates me, and to kind of to live out my dream really of playing professional golf at the highest level.
I got a question, Rasmus. So obviously very successful year on the Challenge Tour last year. Coming on to the DP World Tour this year, rookie season, what were your kind of goals for the year? And I'm wondering have they sort of changed as the year has evolved?
I wouldn't say necessarily the goals have changed. The goals I had before the season was to win on the DP World Tour and was to get one of the PGA Tour cards. So I'm certainly not over the line yet, but there's obviously there's still a lot of events to go and some good ones to go. So it's still all there for the taking. So kind of my focus throughout the season is going to be pretty much how it's been so far this year, is to try and put myself in a position on Sundays to have a chance to win and then hopefully get it over the line.
Sounds like it's all positives, really, Rasmus. I just wonder, I think I have this stat right, but I think you've missed 8 DP World Tour cuts and 7 were by a single shot. So I wondered whether there was a tinge of frustration, because when you look at your results, it's like when you've made the weekend, you have made it count. But there've been a lot of times where that Friday been bang on the cut line. I mean, what's that been like in your first full year on the tour?
I think it's, if you look throughout the whole season, I've heard the ups have certainly been very good. I think I had a little bit more ups and downs than I would have liked. I've been a little bit more inconsistent than I would have liked. I think the reason why you end up having the missed cuts there by a shot is because I'd say I'm pretty good at just hanging in there, just trying like a lot of those weeks where I end up missing by one, it's certainly the game that week. It's certainly been like it would have been easy to just throw in the towel and just kind of give up and miss the cut by 3, 4, 5 shots. But I've hung in there, try to give myself the best chance. So some of those weeks where I might have missed it by one, I might have, in theory, in terms of how I was playing, should have been far off it, but just kind of hung in there tough and then gave myself a chance in the end. But obviously missing it, when you miss it out by one shot, is obviously quite frustrating. But also the funny thing in some of those weeks where I think I missed it by one when I played in Bahrain as well, and that gave me a couple more days of prep before Qatar. So I think if I look back also throughout last year on the Challenge Tour, in general, I've had a pretty good record of playing well the week after I've missed a cut. Give me a couple more days of prep, get a couple things kind of sorted out on the range and whatnot, and be ready to go the following week.
That's super interesting, isn't it? Because I think we kind of look at externally, we kind of think, oh, this guy's in form because they've finished top 20 the next week. They're probably going to go well. But actually, like you say, especially when you're seeing these courses for the first time, I guess it is a benefit when you get to go there a couple of days early and check out the course before other people have had the chance.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you would want to just play well and finish top 10 every week, but that's just not like the reality, is it?
Yeah.
So I think in some instances it'd be really nice to get all 4 rounds in, get some tournament golf, especially if you don't really feel like your game's quite there, then it's nice to to get some competitive rounds under your belt. But like, even as I said, the weeks I've had weeks where I missed the cut by one, and I kind of felt like it was marginal. It was really I made maybe a couple bad decisions, a couple unfortunate breaks in the wrong time, just really not gotten any momentum. But really felt like the game was in a pretty good spot. So it was more a case of just getting those fine margins kind of turning out in my favor instead. And again, in those cases, it's been nice to just kind of have this Saturday go, just work on your game, just sort out the small minor things, and be ready to go the following week.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to move on to some kind of like team stuff. Your name has been touted. I don't know how much you've seen of this, but your name has certainly been touted a little bit when it comes to being like an outside shot to make the Ryder Cup team. Was that ever kind of in your mind for this year, or was it something that's sort of further down the road, maybe 2027 or beyond?
I think if you'd asked me halfway through last year, I would have said no, because back then, the full goal was just to get on the DP World Tour and have a strong rookie season. Obviously, with the way things have gone, especially start of the year, and that nice little spell there where I had the back-to-back seconds, and obviously also a good showing in the US Open. Obviously, it's one of those things when you hear your name up there, you can't help but start thinking about, man, is that really a possibility? But at the same time, I also know I would be a rookie, like I would have to play some incredible golf to even to be able to like kind of sort of be in the race for that. And certainly now, I'm not playing. I didn't play last week in Scotland. So certainly now I know there's only a few events left. So I know, like, especially at this point in time, I would have to do something quite remarkable. But again, at the end of the day, for me this year, yeah, obviously you would always want to make the team, but that for me this year was not the end all be all. I certainly fancy my chances down the road, and that's certainly like a dream and a goal of mine to someday down the road be a part of the Ryder Cup team for sure.
It must have been a nice boost for you to get the call for the Team Cup, Rasmus. I wondered, how that came about and how valuable an experience that was. I mean, to begin your first full year on the DP World Tour playing in that environment. Tell us about that.
Oh, it was incredible. I got the call when I was in Australia last year. I think I was out there prepping for, I think it was the first event I was prepping for out there. And obviously, it's a huge, huge boost and kind of shows the kind of season I had on the Challenge Tour last year that, you go straight from Challenge Tour and already you're in that sort of environment start of the year. So certainly a great experience. Didn't play my best that week, but again, I feel like I spoke to my caddy Brian Nielsen about this as well. It's one of those, like, it's the first event of the new season. Kind of sort of you can use it as a warm up because we had four events coming up right after that. So I certainly think that week certainly set me up for playing good next week in Dubai, and then obviously also Qatar later, like about a month later. So, super exciting. It's fun to be in that team environment. Growing up, we play when we went with the Danish national team. We are kind of used to playing in team environment more than I'd say probably players from other countries, because we do it all the way throughout the junior and amateur ranks, and especially I would say or the other Europeans growing up there, surely they played part of the European team championships and stuff like that. So I think we are certainly more used to being in that team environment, and especially now playing 5 years of college golf, you've kind of been in that sort of environment before, which I think again, in the end of the day, if you look in the future, I think that's gonna help me there.
And in terms of the people that were involved in that, I know technically he was on the opposition team in the Team Cup, but I've heard you had some good chats with people like Paul McGinley, and I wondered as well whether you've had much contact with Luke Donald either that week or since. Has he been on the WhatsApp, or has he left you to it?
No, he's been on the WhatsApp, and obviously I played a fair few rounds with him over the last couple of months. So it's always good to play with him. He's such a stand-up guy, and obviously a great captain for the Ryder Cup team, and just a lot of stuff to be learned. And yeah, right now when you mentioned it, I remember the couple of nice talks I had with Paul McGinley back in the Team Cup, and just kind of, the thing I think is super cool is that I feel like I can pick those guys' brain. Obviously, they've been through the whole thing and been through, they've experienced a lot and have so much experience that I think it's always funny. I think about if I look back to starting in college, I'm like, man, if I just knew what I know now about the game of golf, how much I could have helped myself by just looking back 5-6 years. So I can only imagine if you have guys that have been out there on tour for 20, 25 years and played multiple Ryder Cups, how much they could help, a young guy like me, or even themselves, if they look back and were able to tell themselves back when they came out kind of what it's all about.
What sort of things that have interest, Rasmus? Are we talking kind of mental things, or just intrigued?
Well, mental is the one thing. I mean, also it's just kind of how you approach the game, how you go about your business of trying to get better and better. I think one of the things that I look back at, if I'd known more, like starting college, that would have helped me, is just kind of focusing on just getting a little bit better every day. It's so easy to sometimes get too caught up in, okay, I really want to play well this week, instead of just focusing on just keep putting in good practices, just keep going about doing doing the stuff that that you believe is going to make you better. And then over time, if you stack enough good sessions together, you're really going to like where you end up. Because I think I got into college, you're this new European kid, you're moving across the world to another country. Obviously I was quite well decorated as an amateur back in Europe, but I hadn't really done anything over there. I hadn't really played any tournaments. So you get over there and you feel like it's easy to start feeling the stress of, wow, I have to go prove myself like right now. You want to get off to a good start instead of just kind of settling down and then, pretty much just let the clubs do the talk and just keep putting in good practices. And then, I mean, you never know when good golf's around the corner. All you can do is just make sure that you're ready and prepared to be in the right spot, both mentally and physically, whenever that good golf comes around. Because, it's a funny game. You can go around and kind of feel like it's way off, but it's the coach at Oklahoma State, he said something I still think about to this day that I think is quite interesting. It's like when you're playing poorly, it's never quite as far away as you think it might be. But also, on the other hand, sometimes when you're playing really well, you're like, oh, I got the game figured out. Never going to play bad again. You're never quite as far away from not playing your best either. So it's about really, when you are playing good, it's quite easy, or for me, it's been easy. Like you'd have great stretch and you get into these points and like you might have a poor 30 and have a nice finish in the end. You finish 10th, 12th, but you're still like, because you really want to win, and you're like, you end up leaving the week being kind of upset, where in theory, like, it's still a good week. And then on the other hand, sometimes you could be struggling, it just doesn't feel like it's anywhere near. And then you stack some good practices together, you get a little bit of momentum, and all of a sudden you're right back there.
Yeah, so it's like trust the process, I suppose.
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly.
that old phrase. So obviously, like DP World Tour fans will have been familiar with you for for the best part of a year now, but you kind of introduced yourself to a global stage with your performance at the US Open, T12 in the end, which is a obviously phenomenal result. I mean, how much confidence do you take from that and from being in one of the final groups at a major championship?
So much confidence. I think the thing with that week that was quite special is like obviously it was my second major. I missed the cut by one in the PGA, I think one or two. And coming into the week, I mean, I think I was coming off of two missed cuts, so I obviously hadn't performed the way I would want to perform. I didn't feel like the game was that far away. I'd made a couple of changes the previous events that I got into a new fresh set of irons. They're supposed to be exactly the same, but it's the same with all kind of clubs. It just isn't quite the exactly the same. So I'd gone back for the second round in Netherlands. I'd gone back to the other set. I mean, they're not really that worn down, so I've just gone back to the other irons, and then instantly I'm like, oh, this is right. I ended up missing the cut that day, but I was like, I feel okay. This is like it feels normal. It feels like how it's supposed to be. And then that week, I mean, I think the only thing I was thinking about that week was just being in a great spot mentally because it's going to be really, really difficult. And like when I look back at that week, yeah, obviously, I mean, I hit the ball good, chipped it nice, I putted decent, but it's not like I don't look back at that week and think, wow, that's the best I've hit it. It's the best I've chipped it. It's the best I've putted it. Now, I do think if I look back on that week in terms of just accepting that you can hit some holes, like it's hard enough to the point where you can hit a pretty decent golf shot and end up in a bad spot. But I felt like mentally that week I was incredible because I didn't let any of that bother me. I didn't get bothered by a slow start. I just kind of put one foot in front of the other and just kind of waited around, stayed patient. I think it was my third round. I think I was 2 over through 3 holes. And honestly, hitting good didn't really feel like I've hit a bad shot. Maybe just slight misjudgment on wind here, a misread from 8 feet there. Just didn't really feel like I hit that many bad shots. And then, you don't let that bother you. And I hit a great shot into, I think it was the 4th hole, made a birdie there. And then you kind of stack a couple good shots together, birdie the next, and hit a nice wedge in there. And then you make a long putt. And before you know it, I think I ended up making 4 birdies in a row. And it's like, you're not necessarily trying to make birdie. You're just trying to hit to the correct spot. And then before you know it, you get on a bit of a run like that. And then now I'm 2 under through 7, which is a great start.
Yeah.
I know you went to Oklahoma, Rasmus. Oklahoma State, anyone listening who didn't know that already. But when we talk about it from afar, I don't know about Sam, I've never been to Oklahoma, but we talk about the wind and the fact that really it feels like players who come out of what's a great college golf system, they seem to be good at playing in the wind, but also just tough conditions in general. To what extent do you feel that have prepared you for the US Open? Because you said you love tough conditions, and it doesn't get much tougher than that.
No, I think generally, certainly the course that we play on, I played on in college, Karsten Creek is a really, really difficult golf course. You have to hit a good tee to green. I think generally, if you look at the players that come out of Oklahoma State, especially, and it kind of goes by also the kind of players that Coach Bratton recruits. Is like typically you could see the ball strikers, because at the end of the day, if you look at world golf, you're not. I mean, you can be a really, really good short game and putter, and you can have some good results. But if you want, if generally speaking, if you want longevity, you want to be really up there, you have to be a good ball striker. Simple as that. At the end of the day, the more greens and fairways you hit, the lower you're going to shoot. But also, it's quite funny you say about the wind. Obviously, it's quite windy in Denmark as well, like all the time. And I remember, I think it was some of the donors or whatever. We were playing like a pro-am thing, and this was my first or second year. They're like, "Have you gotten used to the Oklahoma wind yet?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like it's blowing like this in Denmark all the time. Like it's not that different. It's like it's a little bit warmer. I think the wind in Oklahoma, although it is quite windy, doesn't hit the ball, doesn't affect the ball quite as much as it does at home. But like certainly just controlling your ball, and it's always kind of been a strong suit of mine, but even more so after playing another 5 years in college in a lot of wind.
Talking about the college stuff, Rasmus, I'm intrigued to know, because we always hear about the players who've really made it out of college. Obviously Viktor Hovland, yourself, several others. Has there been anyone that you kind of played with or alongside at college you thought this guy's really good and hasn't really made it yet on the professional scene?
I mean, there's always some. The thing is, I feel like players are really good amateurs that could be really good in college. I hated myself. I think throughout, like halfway through my first year there, basically in the next 2.5 years, I really struggled. And it happens to players all the time. But I think that the fact that I struggled there and I was able to get out on the other side a better player is helping me so much more now that I have a lot more knowledge on how to handle a situation where it feels tough or where you can start feeling uncomfortable in the course and stuff like that. Because one of my teammates, Chinese player, Bo Jin, his brother played Shenzhen. I think he might have had one. I can't remember if he had 1 year in the PGA Tour, which is Corn Ferry Tour. But his first 2 years, he was incredible. I mean, I think he might have finished second at conference, regionals, and nationals that year in his freshman season. Played incredible. And then he started really struggling off the tee, and he's kind of struggled mentally a bit. And I'm like, it looks so familiar because it's kind of the same thing that happened to me. And, it happens for whatever reason, but I think for me that the thing that really made me turn it around was just kind of going more of this process focused mindset where I'm not too concerned about what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to get a little bit better. And I kind of start thinking about, instead of being so hell-bent on, I want to play well in the next, really want to play well in qualifying so I can go play well in the next event. I'm like, no, I mean, it's obviously you want to play well all the time. You want to play well in college because it's always fun to play well. I'm like, no, I want to try to get as good as possible so when I leave college, I'm ready to go. Yeah, and that kind of helped me free up in a sense, and then I start playing better.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to talk about Danish golf a little bit, because obviously you got the Højgaard twins, Nicholas Norgard, yourself, and then players like Jakob Skov-Olesen coming through. It feels like Danish golf is like stronger than it's ever been. I wonder what you put that down to.
I think I've actually been asked it a couple of times. I think it's the work that both the national team and then it's called the Danish Junior Golf Academy. They work quite closely together. So a bunch of us most of us have always been part of the national team, and then some of us have been part of the Junior Golf Academy as well. So Jacob Skov and we have the same coach, Andreas Kelly. We both worked with him for ages. We grew up kind of playing together, working both throughout the national team and with the Danish Junior Golf Academy. So I think it's just the work that both the national team and the golf academy is doing. And then I think one of the big differences is like from such a young age, we learn how to practice properly with a purpose. So it's super structured. We know, like, even from, you're 10, 11 years old, like you're writing stuff down. You are being super precise with what the purpose is for your practice. You're not just going out to hit balls. You always have a purpose with the practice that you're doing. So I think the quality of practice is extremely high, almost kind of as this like kind of similar quality to the quality you would see on tour pros from such a young age. And then if we have a lot of quality in our practice, like all we have to do then is spend enough time. And for a young kid, it's always fun. It's fun to go out and practice. So I think I put it down to those sort of things that the work the national team and the Danish Junior Golf Academy has done in the past and continues to do.
I was going to ask you about Jacob, actually, but less specifically, how much did it help to have a strong Danish contingent on the tour when you arrived out there? I know, obviously, Rasmus and Nikolai have been focused on the PGA Tour this year, but you've got like a older guy like Jeff Winter, even, who seems like very personable, very likable.
Oh yeah.
And I'm guessing you stick together out there on tour.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was lucky enough that when I won my third time last year, I kind of got to get a little head start and kind of get acclimated before we started this year, which I think, I mean, it certainly helped me starting the year, kind of knowing that the lays of the land and kind of how everything kind of works out there. And but yeah, definitely, like the Danes, we always stick together. We're a lot of times we stay similar hotels, and even if we're not, we always go out and have dinner. And even the two other guys coming from Challenger, Luca's obviously been around for a while, been very, very high up in the game, and then Hamish Brown as well, as a guy similar age to me that we've been on the national team together for a while. So just Denmark is a super small country, and like, especially also with the amount of golfers we have, it's not really, we all know each other really well. And then, as you said, Jeff Winters, let's put it this way, he's an extremely fun guy to be around.
So I've heard. I just one final thing on that. Obviously, I'm sure Jacob, I didn't know you shared a coach, but he must have enjoyed watching you in the US Open. What was it like seeing him lead the Open on day one?
That was pretty special. I remember I was out playing myself at home, just because kind of relaxing, and I looked at him, I'm like, honestly, it didn't really surprise me that he was up there in the Open, because he's made a habit of playing really, really good in links golf. He's playing good in general, but especially links. So obviously won the amateur last year, so can't really say I was that surprised. He's a very, very good player. Really good in the wind as well. It just kind of, I mean, he works hard just like me, and obviously now it's just exciting for me as well to see him come out of, because it's not always easy to come out with a Q school category. You don't know how many starts you're going to get, but he's obviously taking full advantage of that, playing well in the first couple of events in Australia and then Mauritius to get him on top of the re-rank. So now he's getting more opportunities and then continues to play well. So it's just super, super awesome to see.
I wanted to go back a little bit, Rasmus, to when you're younger, and I wonder who your kind of golfing heroes, if you like, were when you were growing up, or players who inspired you to get into the game.
I mean, growing up, it was Tiger. Like, still remember what you're watching the majors. There's just this aura, his dominance. Like, he was always, like, growing up, that was the golfing hero, for sure.
Yeah. There wasn't anyone kind of, no sort of Danish players who kind of inspired you, or was that a bit later on when you were?
That's been later on, but obviously you always, like, every time I can't remember how young I was when I started watching tournaments and stuff. We obviously knew about Tiger, but certainly it's always been one of those where whenever a Danish guy's up there, you were always rooting for him to win no matter what. It's been fun to see both Thomas and Soren doing so well in the PGA Tour Champions this year.
Sorry, Rasmus. I was going to say, have you ever played with Soren's son? Because it sounds like he's getting pretty handy as well.
I've actually played. I think earlier this year we played a round or two out of the course here, not my home course, but another course here in Denmark. But yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, surely if he's got Soren's work ethic, it can only get good. I'd put it that way.
And just going back to college briefly, we talked about the players that have come out of Oklahoma State, but the obvious one for us, who's followed a somewhat similar path, would be Viktor. Have you any relationship with him? Is he? I know your paths probably crossed for 1 year. Is that right?
Yeah. No, I'd say we're decently close. We were on the team together for 1 year, and then when he turned pro, he actually stuck around in Stillwater, Oklahoma for another 3 years, I want to say. So he was around me and the team all the time, like whenever he wasn't out playing. So spent a lot of time with him, played a lot of rounds of golf with him, and just, again, as I said, I always feel like I can pick his brain if there's anything any questions I have, or anything where I'm like, I wonder how he looks at this part of the game or whatnot. So obviously it's been cool also in a couple of the majors this year to play a couple of practice rounds with him and just hang out with him, because that's one of the things that I remember and I think is super, super cool to see, is the fact that he hasn't changed one bit since college. He's the same guy. Not like nothing's changed, which is not always the case, I'd say, when you've had that level of success that he's had over the past 5 years. So now he's an incredible guy, and obviously love spending time and playing rounds with him.
He seems from the outside like he'd be a fun guy to hang around with, a bit like Jeff Winter, I suppose.
Well, it's in a different way. I'd say he's a lot more. He's probably more laid back than Jeff. Jeff is he's a bit out there, but great fun, I gotta say. I suppose Victor's out there in a different kind of way, but no, they're both fun to be around for sure.
We know like there's no sort of scarier life than being a caddy. Like, your job is always at risk. So I wasn't sure whether to ask you about Brian Nielsen, but it sounds like you're still working together. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of our listeners wouldn't know, but he's a very experienced caddy for Nicholas Colsaerts for a long time. He's been and seen it all, I guess. I mean, he must have been invaluable for you in this period of your career.
No, he's been great. That was one of the things. I think certainly even when I first turned pro, the couple of invites I played, I think I had Brendan McCartan for a couple of events, was really good. I had Richard Hill for an event, and then I think the first time I had Oz on the back was the Dunhill Links in 2023, I want to say. And just thought that worked really well. Obviously, all experienced caddies. So that's one thing I knew. That's kind of something I wanted. I wanted an experienced caddy. I'd say when I'm on the course, I generally like to take a lot of accountability myself. So it's really important for me to have an experienced caddy that can help, that kind of know the right things to say in different situations, and just has the end. It could be something silly, like you're going to have a hole, like a dogleg hole, and there's like a bunker on the left or some tree, like kind of through the dogleg. It's kind of irrelevant for the shot, but if like I have a back of my mind just pops up, how far is it to that tree? The fact that he has the answers super quick, so I can have as clear a mind as possible when I'm executing the golf shot. That's been the real big key for us in working together. It's been the clearer a picture I can have of the shot I'm trying to hit, the better golf shot I'm generally going to hit. It's simple as that.
We're going to talk a little bit shortly about this week's event, which is the Danish Golf Championship. But before that, I just want to ask what kind of makes you tick, away from the course. We talk about Viktor Hovland. Obviously, we know he's obsessed with metal, but I wonder about yourself. Are you interested in, do you like music, film, food?
I just honestly, I really like music. Not quite the same genre as Victor, I'm afraid, but I actually went to a concert this past weekend, which was fun. Went with some friends, so super exciting that. And then I'd say other than that, just kind of hanging out with friends. We've gone out in the city in Copenhagen here in the evening, and just kind of gone down to the old docks, and just super great atmosphere. Sit down there, just hang out, have a couple of beers, whatever, in the sun, and just enjoy the atmosphere. And then I think especially in the winter, I do love a cold plunge, cold swim in the ocean. Still going to the ocean now. I think it's about 18 or 19 degrees. So, I mean, it's obviously not hot, but it's not quite the same as in the winter when it's about 2 degrees, but still enjoy that a lot.
That's not one for me, I've got to be honest. What was the band you saw, Rasmus? Were we heard of them?
Well, so it was it was more like a festival style. So they had a lineup of different artists. So the first artist we saw was Craig David, which was incredible. It was really good.
Your neck of the woods, Sam.
Southampton's
no, but it was actually so it was quite a big mix, and then there was a couple of DJs. The main headliner was Morten Breum, who was a Danish DJ he's made it big this year, the last couple of years, and so it's not that often that he plays at home. So no, it was mega. It was great.
Yeah. Are you more into your sort of dance music then?
Yeah, I'm kind of, I'd say mainly EDM, but I mean, I like pop and all kinds of different stuff. Like probably pretty much anything barring metal.
By the time this goes out, Rasmus, obviously your focus will have shifted to the Danish Golf Championship. I mean, first of all, playing at home, I guess you've not had many chances to do it. You're still early days as a professional, but you've not had many chances to do it in front of a crowd. It'd be a special week, I guess.
It's going to be incredible. I mean, one thing is playing in Denmark. The really cool thing for me here is the fact that it's actually also my childhood home course, like the course I grew up playing on, which just adds another layer. Like, it's truly a home event. It'll be super exciting. Obviously, I think you don't want to call on anything too early. But if the weather is good, the crowds will be incredible. And even the past couple of times I've played at home, I've really enjoyed the crowds out there cheering us on. I remember last year when I was final group on the Saturday with playing with Lucas. I mean, we were getting clapped onto evergreen for 18 holes. Didn't play my best that day, but it's impossible not to enjoy playing golf in that sort of atmosphere. So now I'm just super excited, and I can't wait really to get going on Thursday next week.
I gotta say, I didn't realise that it was your home course. I don't know if you uncovered that, Ben. But...
No, I hadn't uncovered that. So I'm sure I want to know.
I have to ask on the back of that, Rasmus. What's the lowest round you shot on your home course? Furiso, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. So the thing they're doing this year, they're actually playing. So we have 3 9-hole courses. We mainly play the same 2 every time when you play a tournament there, but they're actually making a sort of composite course. So they're boring 2 holes from the other course, which is going to be the 10th and the 18th in the kind of rotation that you play the holes in. So I haven't played this rotation before. On the normal 18 hole, the lowest I've shot is 61, which is 10 under. The thing they're doing now is they're adding 2 holes. The 2 holes they're adding are normally par 5s. And then they're taking out a par 3 and a par 4. And then they're converting 3 par 5s into par 4s. Obviously playing from a little bit further up. So I think it's going to end up being like 71, 7,200 yards, par 71. Because generally normally it's the normal rotation you play. It's par 71, and then I want to say it's 66, 6,700 yards. So you're adding about 500 yards on it.
Okay.
It's your typical parkland kind of golf course. Now, obviously, I played generally when I've been at home. That's where I grew up playing. I mainly practice at another course called Scandinavian because that's where all the other pros are. They have 2 courses there where we can go out and play. It's always easy to get a game and go out and play with the other guys. So I certainly played a couple more rounds on my own home course there this year. So no, it's super exciting. I think actually this week I'm gonna get to go out there and have a look at it a couple of times before the week, which is also one of the reasons why I wanted to take the week off before, because I know starting Monday through Wednesday next week, there's going to be a lot of extra stuff I'm probably going to have to do. So it'd be nice to get out there and just kind of get a head start on that. So I feel like I have more time for everything next week.
That makes sense. Yeah. When you're playing a home event like that, I wonder, is it kind of a double-edged sword where, yes, you've got that home knowledge, you're at home, you've got your family and friends cheering you on, but is there also kind of like an extra pressure to perform well?
Oh, it certainly is. I can tell you right now, I think probably because obviously all the members out there know I've played out there in the home course for forever. I mean, it's almost like if you walk it up and down there, they're almost like they expect me to win, which, I mean, obviously if I play really well, yeah, certainly I have a chance to go out and do that, but it can be a double-edged sword that way. But again, I think the main thing for me is just to be as ready as I possibly can Thursday. And then I think, am I going to be potentially a little extra nervous on the first tee? Probably so. But I think once I get settled into the round, it's just going to be like any other tournament. I do think, however, it's going to be an odd week for Brian, my caddy. Because obviously I've probably played, 500, 600 rounds out there. So it's not going to be, probably won't be many questions about what do you reckon a good line is here? Because I know.
You already know.
Yeah.
Nice easy week for him then. In just a general sense, Rasmus, in terms of, I know this will be hard because you've already said it's a composite with a couple of new holes. If the weather's all right, is it a course you think DP World Tour players will find scoreable, or we're probably talking about a really tough week in Scotland beforehand? Just a sense of what you'd expect from it scoring wise.
I think it very much depends on how much rain we get this week and next week. If it stays dry and you get some wind and could kind of help dry it out, because it is fescue greens, so generally speaking, if you don't get a whole load of rain, they can make the greens quite firm. which I think if the greens are playing firm and they tuck the pins, it's not going to be as easy as it could be playing. So I mean, it's all going to depend on the weather. I think if you have your typical Danish weather, you'll get maybe a couple of days where there's a bit of wind, and it'll stay somewhat dry up to then, so the greens will firm up decently. I'd reckon you're probably looking at 15 to 18. Now, if you get a bunch of rain and the weather is perfect that week, it's going to be 20 plus. But on the other hand, if it stays really, really dry until then and you get a lot of wind, all of a sudden it could be 12, maybe 13. So it's like, because I've had so many people have asked me, and I'm like, I would have to see the conditions like throughout the week before I could give you any kind of educated answer. Because it kind of, again, it's a composite course. So it's just super hard to know. But I think, honestly, if the weather is good, even with the greens being kind of firm, it's a course that it can play quite tricky. The front nine is the normal front nine as well, and they're going to play quite a bit shorter than the back nine, because it's on the back nine that they have added these extra holes and the extra length. So the front nine is one where you can really put up a score, but also at the same time, they're quite tricky. So I'd say you can play really well in the front and you can be 4, 5, 6 under, but also at the same time, you can be slightly off and be a couple over pretty easily. So I think you have to make the score in the front nine, and the back nine that's a little bit more irregular, kind of like your typical, par fours, but somewhat between 420 to 460, 70 yards, and kind of like your more typical. But certainly it's quite a tricky course, especially if, I'd say one thing is if the greens firm up, but also if you start getting a bunch of run on the fairways, some of them are cambered a little bit, so they're going to be quite tricky to hit.
These are excellent insights, actually. It worked out rather nicely that we're speaking to someone who has such good knowledge of the course before the event takes place. Right, Rasmus, we're going to wrap up with a little bit of trivia. Okay, I'm just going to go in with a little theme here.
It's the highest bidder. It's the highest bidder. It's the highest bidder. It's the highest bidder.
Should have done a dance version, really, Sam.
I should have done.
We need different versions of that for a different audience.
Right. The topic that we've got for you, Rasmus, I'm just going to explain the way this works. So I'm going to give you a topic, and you have to tell us how many you think you're going to get right first. So you have to bid, basically. So, okay, I'm going to get 7 or whatever. And then we're going to ask you to see if you can do that. So the topic is this. There have been, we believe, if we've got this right, there have been 14 Danish players who've won on the European Tour, DP World Tour. Firstly, how many do you think you can name of those? Give us a number.
You said 14.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd like to think I could get... I'm not going to say 14 because I'm going to definitely miss one. I'm going to be quite conservative and say 12.
Oh,
12.
I like that. I like that.
That's definitely not conservative, but I respect it. Okay, let's see. Let's see if you can do it. 12. Let's go.
All right, we got Rasmus and Nikolaj Højgaard. We got Thorbjørn Olesen, Niklas Norgaard. We got Søren Kjeldsen, Thomas Bjorn, Anders Hansen, Søren Hansen, Mads Weber Hostrup. I think he won one.
Yep, he did.
Jeppe Holdal.
Mm-hmm.
Surely Sten Tinning won.
Yes.
Come on, I had the new one. I don't know if... Jeff.
Yep.
All right, come on, get the last two. Sten...
I think you get them with it. If you need a clue, Rasmus, let us know, because I think you get both of them with a clue.
I got my bid now. I bid 12 and I got 20.
Yeah.
So I get a clue.
Go on. So clue number 1, beat Andy Sullivan to win the SA Open.
Joachim B. Hansen.
Oh, no, we'd missed one. Sam, there are 15.
We missed him.
We missed him. So he won the Joburg Open. This one won the SA Open a few years before, maybe 2015, I think.
I think you mentioned
Morten O. Madsen.
And the last one, I think you've already mentioned. Now, forgive me, you might have said him and I missed it, but he's won the Portugal Masters, the Dunhill Links. I think he beat Tiger in the WGC match play.
Lucas.
There you go.
Well,
Excellent.
I mean, that is
15 out of 15, and we said there were only 14, so that's very impressive.
As a highest bidder masterclass. Well, that's. I think we've asked all the questions that we have for you, Rasmus. It's been amazing to have you on, and thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
Yeah,
And
of course.
the best of luck for
Thank
the
you,
Danish
thank
Golf
you.
Championship.
Yeah, it's exciting. Can't wait to get going on Thursday for sure.
Brilliant. Well, thank you to Rasmus. I hope you've enjoyed listening, Slice listeners, and
Yep.
we'll be back next week.